DJ Magic Clones.
Greetings and blessings to one and all. Though I have gone by many names and wear many hats, I am DJMAGICCLOWNS, aka Seltzers, and welcome to the show. Let's see what we have on the docket for today. Native American bamboo and DIY flutes.
Native American flutes.
Alright, so the first couple of flutes that we are gonna look at today are the Native American flutes. These are really super fun flutes. Now this, I should say, this is a modern Native American flute. We're going to start with this one. This is made out of cedar wood. There's a lot of really excellent stories that tell the history of, or the mythology, or both, rather, of how this flute came to be. But originally, originally these flutes were known as love flutes, or functioned as love flutes. And for the most part, not exclusively, but for the most part, in many tribes across North America, a young man would, when it was time for them to court a young lady or such, they would get a piece of cedar wood, usually. This is red cedar. And they would actually cut get the piece in half, hollow it out, and then glue it back together with some sort of hide glue. And what they would do is actually, they would cut the piece of wood to the length of their arm. They would carve from this end on a traditional one, would actually be carved to look like a bird's head, like a beak. And then they basically would hold their hand like this, put a hole, and I think it was one finger, so whole hole, 2 fingers, there wouldn't be a hole there, that's there now, and then 1 finger, and put holes in those spots, and that was the way that they came up with it. So every flute was actually made, would play a scale specifically to the maker's body. Now, as I said, this is the modern Native American flute. So, one of the things that make it modern, aside from the fact that it's lacquered, the end here, this is sort of just a very sleek, modern design, I suppose you'd say, and this extra hole here. Now, for the most part, when we play this flute, we just leave our finger covering that, but having that hole there really does facilitate a lot of notes that are outside of the standard key. Also, this flute is not made to the parameters, I guess, of the maker's arm. It's a G minor pentatonic. Modern Native American flutes are minor pentatonic scaled. But before we get into playing it, we're going to talk about how this works. This is a variation, I suppose, of the Fipple flute. Let's take this off, and I'll show you. Okay, so if you notice, there are two holes, 1, 2, and one hole right there. So these, you blow right in here, and without the block, this is called a block, nothing happens. Now this block, it has a little channel carved under it. Now this is just a sort of carved to have a nice look. Oftentimes a totem animal will be mounted or carved into, onto, or the wood would be carved into. So when we put this here, what it does is it redirects, the air goes in here, out that hole, hits a little channel in here, and then comes this way and splits onto in this piece, this hole, and part of it goes out and the other part goes in and works its way out. So and this strap just simply holds everything in place. So, let's hear what this guy actually sounds like. So that is the modern Native American flute. This next Native American flute is a even more modern idea in a couple ways, and it's a fun variation on these. So this is, there we go, this is a Native American triple flute. Triple because there are literally 3 flutes in one. Now, these traditionally, most of the flutes were single, although double and triple flutes did exist and were, I guess, fairly common, you could say. Usually a double would have a flute with holes that you would play, and then just one without, so that you'd have a drone on the bottom. So let's hear what just those two sound like. So that is what a drone Native American flute would sound like. Now this one, as I said, is a triple, which means it has this extra that has, if you notice, it has half the amount of holes as this one. And what that allows, actually, is that we can get some chords happening. So that is the Native American triple flute. Oh, I forgot to mention, this flute I mentioned that it's sort of super modern and didn't even explain why. The reason it's super modern is that this is 3D printed. And you could get single, double, and, or drone and triple Native American flutes in a whole wide range of keys that are 3D printed for, depending on if it's a single, double, or triple, and depending on the key, they range from, I think, anywhere from maybe 30 or 40 bucks on the lower side to like around 100 for the bigger triple guys. But you can also get them in all sorts of wood, not just cedar. Cedar is the traditional wood used, but I've seen them in all sorts of other woods as well, and in all sorts of keys, singles, doubles, and triples. So, alright, that's enough with the Native American flutes, mostly because those are the only two I have. Let's move on to
Bamboo flutes.
So to start, we're going to start with this. Now, this is a bamboo flute that comes from China. It's called a xiao. The flutes that look very similar to this, that many people are maybe more familiar with, is the shakuhachi, which is the Japanese version of this. It's basically, it's made out of the same material. It's the way that it's designed in terms of how it makes a sound and everything, and even using the root part of the bamboo here to get this fun, fancy bell at the end, is all identical from the xiao from China and the shakuhachi. In fact, what I understand is that the xiao predates the shakuhachi and it made its way over there. I might have that backwards. Please, if you know for sure which direction it came, leave a comment. But the fingering is, and the finger holes are different. There's less finger holes on the shakuhachi and more on the xiao. So as I pointed out, this part is really sort of, see, it's a bit fancier than just a plain old bamboo flute. The cool thing, actually, I don't know if you can see, but there's a reddish paint on the inside, which they sealed the inside of the bamboo with. Now, this one was made so that you could actually take this off of it. I'm not sure if shakuhachis come that way, but xiaos can and do. Not always, though. This one happens too. Let's talk about how you get a sound with these flutes. If you look, there's the edge here, but there's no fipple to just blow into, so you actually have to put your lips here and use sort of your lips as the fipple and just blow it in. That does make for more difficult conjuring of a tone, or a sound rather, but when you get it, you can actually really bend notes and be expressive with them as well. So that's the shout, a little bit of it. Let's continue on to another bamboo flute. We're gonna actually, since this was China, and we talked a little bit about Japan. We're gonna jump over to Japan now. I do not have a shakuhachi. This is not a shakuhachi, but this is a flute that is a bass bamboo flute. Now, oh man, I got this many years ago, and what I was told was that this was based off of a painting of an ancient painting of a samurai playing a flute, and so it was based on that, and apparently there were a lot of older flutes in Japan that were reminiscent of this. It's not an easy flute to play because it requires a lot of air. As we said, it's a bass flute, so it's a low one. The bigger that the flutes get, the lower they go, the smaller the higher. So it takes a lot of air. It's also because the finger holes are over here. There's a thumb hole and 4 finger holes on this side. So the thumb hole, I actually have to kind of get it with the side of my thumb, and you can see I'm stretching maybe about as far as I could reach with my left hand rather. But here's the bass bamboo. Alright, so there is the bass bamboo flute. Now, next we're gonna look at one more bamboo flute. This is a special flute to me. This was given to me by a friend, oh man, many years ago, and it kind of defies categories. I don't know if you can tell, it has a slight bow to it this way, which I always really liked that it had that. This was really the first flute that got me into playing flutes outside of, a silver bone flute. The fun thing about this is it has the fingerings of a shakuhachi, and but it's transverse, unlike a shakuhachi. I believe this flute was actually made by a guy in Florida. I want to say Eric the flute maker. Don't quote me on that, but maybe look him up, and this was where I'm pretty sure Eric the flute maker, or maybe a first name, the flute maker, maybe Eric. Anyway, so I'm gonna play this, and then we'll bring something fun into it. Now, I have something here with me that is a really fun tool to use as a musician. Earlier we talked about drone flutes with the Native American flutes. So I have with me a drone machine. This is a digital drone machine, and it's going to give me a drone, and I will play along with it for a moment for y'all. So that is, I like to just kind of refer to this usually as my transverse shakuhachi. That's not really a thing, but that's just because of the way that the fingerings are and that it is a transverse flute. Right. To bring us to the next group of flutes, we are going to look at a couple. Now, this is a bamboo. It's made out of bamboo. It's, I believe, from Uruguay, maybe Paraguay. I'm honestly not sure. But it is a bass flute. Now, when I got this flute, it was not really playable. This part was detached from this part, and I couldn't figure out how to attach it so it would work. So or rather, the way I figure it out is not the way it's traditionally attached. These two actually should be right up against each other with like some sort of a resin sealing that up. I didn't know that at the time, and I got this long enough ago that it wasn't an easy Google search away. So this is what I came up with. And the way this works is it's similar to the Native American flute in that you blow in here, and there's a chamber that the air goes in. It actually goes through here, and then through here, and hits this part here, and part of the air comes out and the rest goes through. So let's hear what this sounds like. Alright, now the real reason that I wanted to show you was to show you the work done here, because it's going to bring us into the next section of flutes, which are
DIY and homemade flutes.
Alright, so this next few flutes that we're going to look at are a bunch of homemade or DIY flutes. This one was actually made by my mom. I think, if I remember correctly, I believe she told me that she made this when she was in high school. But she actually took a piece of bamboo and with I guess metal steel rods, you heat them up and you burn these holes. Now, as you can see, there's some twine around it. For as long as I can remember, this flute had cracks in it and didn't really quite play because it was cracked. So at some point when I learned how to repair bamboo flutes, I repaired the holes, and so this is my mom's bamboo flute. Now, I always liked this because it was like almost a major scale, but not actually a major scale, which I like that, but it definitely makes it harder to use if you want to play with other instruments. You have to kind of really bend things into tune, but that does make it fun. Alright, next, let's see. Yeah, let's look at a more standard flute that I made first. So this flute was fairly simple. What I did was I had a So I had a broken, well beyond repair, like destroyed student model flute that I salvaged from the garbage, and the only part of it that worked was the head joint. And so I had this sort of cheap metal head joint knocking around for a while, and then similar to that my overtone noise saxophone that I made out of some plumbing pipe, I had a length of plumbing pipe that I really had no so copper tubing that I had really no use for in my house, and so rather than just let it sit there or go to waste, I decided to make a flute out of it. Now, the tape all around it is sort of dual functional. On the one hand, it is for decoration, but on the other hand, I remember drilling a whole bunch of holes in this and messing up where the holes were placed and re-drilling, and so a lot of these are to cover holes that are not really functional. But so I attached this to the pipe. I may have soldered it, I may not have, I don't remember, to be honest, but I'm not going to undo all this tape to find out. But it's just a plain simple flute that so that's the first homemade flute. Not the first one I made, but the first one I'm showing you that I made. Now, this next one is, or rather, I'm going to show you a couple. This is just a little, I just wanted to make a little head joint out of PVC. So I just took PVC. I actually took a cork from a corked bottle, apparently established in 1824. I have no recollection as to what bottle that came from. And just drilled a hole for the mouthpiece, and this is the part you play. So that's that. Bare bones simple. Now, a little bit more complex, or silly rather, is this one. Now this was, I had made this part, I had made this part, and I had some, I don't remember what I had some other mouthpiece on it, but then I took that off and used it, oh I remember, we'll get to that one. I took that off and turned that into another flute. And then I was like, oh, I have this body, what do I do with it? And I had this length that I could make a head joint with, but the only connector that I had lying around, instead of being a straight coupling, was an elbow. So I said, you know what, why not? Let's see. And I'm not going to say it's the greatest flute, I don't play it all that much, but it sure is fun and looks silly. More fun than functional, but definitely fun. Alright, let's see, we got, now this one is a strange concoction. It's got the mouthpieces here. I don't remember how I came up with this idea, but the mouthpiece was here, and then it has the opening on either side, and a finger hole on either side. So that's that, which, let's see, now we have two more, I believe. This one was sort of, I was trying to make a really low sort of bass PVC, this is PVC wrapped in electric tape, minor pentatonic flute. I did that, but the reality was that the finger holes were too far apart and awkward to really play anything worth anything. So I closed up a bunch of the holes and left myself with 3 holes, so that this is maybe more of an experimental flute. But here we go. Yeah, so there's that one made out of PVC, and lastly is sort of a really, really silly concoction of mine. So if you recall, if you recall when I showed you this one, I said that that it used to have a different head joint on it, but I took that off. And I took it off for this flute. I like to call this my flutinette, purely because I took this is the head joint that, and this is where it would attach, where it attached to that other flute. And I took a clarinet bell, attached it here, and then using a soldering gun to burn the holes through, I put a hole here and a thumb hole there. And the fun thing about this is, depending on how you mess with the end, you can get all sorts of crazy sounds out of it. And I sometimes use this this is the tip of a mallet that broke. I use it sometimes to plug it in to get some bend. Alright, so that is my flutinette, we'll call it. That's not a real name, but we'll pretend. Alright, that just about does it, I think, for our bamboo and DIY flutes. Oh, and the Native American flutes as well. Let's end it with this guy. This is a fun little cheap toy. I can't say for sure if this has its roots in any real tradition of flutes, but maybe it does. But it's a little double guy I got for like maybe a couple bucks at a flea market, and it's fun because they're different, they're tuned differently, but you can play both of them. And alright, thank you for spending your time with me. As always, please remember, those who spread hate and malice the most really do need our love the most. And in the words of Fred Rogers, thank you for being you.